Hey, this is Sarika, and you're listening to Chasing Dreams with Amy J.
Welcome to Chasing Dreams podcast with Amy J. Amy believes that realizing a life without regrets is achieved by taking chances, chasing your dreams, making moves, and overcoming your doubts. The Chasing Dreams podcast will help you overcome life's obstacles, believe in your potential, and inspire you to face your fears. And now here's the woman who is passionately pursuing her dreams, Amy J.
Hey, Dream Chasers, this is Amy J, and thank you so much for tuning in to episode 173 of Chasing Dreams. Before we go too far, guys, first, a word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by our Patreon campaign supporters. Thanks to all of you for not just your monetary support, but for also believing in my mission to help inspire, empower, and equip people to chase their dreams. Your help makes it possible for me to continue that work. For more information on our Patreon campaign, and or if you'd like to donate $1 a month to help keep the show going, you can learn more at amyj21.com/Patreon. That's Patreon. Patreon. Thanks again. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, guys. I hope that 2019 is off to the right start and that you guys are only going up from here. So one of the things I want to do with 2019 is each month, at least once, I want to bring back a past guest. And I want to talk to them and see how their dream chase has been going since we last talked to them. So today, we're going to do just that. We're going to talk to Sarika Mehta. Sarika was on episode 29 of Chasing Dreams, and at the time, she was an 18-year-old student at the Culinary Institute of America. Today, though, she is a graduate. She has graduated with her associate's degree in culinary arts and her bachelor's program in business management with a concentration in wine, beverage, and hospitality studies. And so I got to catch up with her while she was still in school, just before she had graduated, and she's been having a great time. And so I want you guys to hear how things have been going for her since we talked to her about 2 years ago. Here it is. Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm doing well. How are you?
You know, it's a new year. It's a new start, a new beginning. I'm kind of excited. I'm excited also because we're doing this whole new, revisiting past dream chasers this year. The first of the month, the first Wednesday, I guess, of each month, we're going to kind of revisit. And you're our first one, which is so exciting because so much has happened.
Yes, a lot of things have happened since our last little chat. A lot of things have changed.
Let's think about that. So you aired like February of 16. It's been over 30 months.
Gosh, that was so long ago.
It seems like a lifetime for you?
It really does. Because now I think about, wow, that was even before I did my big internship for my associate's degree.
Yeah, I think you were just getting ready for that. Was that Boston?
I remember talking about it. It was Fenway Park. It was Boston. It was crazy.
Yes. And so
that was so much fun.
And we had been keeping tabs on you. You got your associates, and now you've graduated with your bachelor's.
Yep.
So
bachelor's degree in hospitality business management with a concentration in wine, beverage, and hospitality studies.
Now, I remember when you were beginning associates, you were feeling out things. Now, the beverage management, that was kind of in the radar, but what changed between, 30 months, your experience? Was it the way you thought it would be?
It was the way I thought it would be. And then I started thinking a little bit more long-term of, okay, do I really want to be in a kitchen for my whole career, or do I want to be able to have other avenues and other, experiences to tap into career-wise? And I kind of realized that I love being in a kitchen and I love cooking and I love that kind of environment. And I actually had the opportunity to do some of that last summer. But it wasn't as sustainable, I think, as I wanted to be in terms of, long-term potentially having a family and having that kind of a personal life. So when I took my wines course in my associate's degree in February of 2017, I was kind of exposed to this whole world of wine and service. And then I took a few other classes that involved front of house service, so dining rooms and basically being that bridge between kitchen and guests to communicate what all this food is, what all the beverage is. And I really loved it. I loved getting that guest interaction and seeing people have these amazing experiences with food and just kind of watching that wow moment happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was, that was something that I knew I couldn't let go of, for sure.
So I want to make it clear because, you know, some people would say, oh, she sacrificed these things. But your need or desire for balance was something you wanted, right? Do you feel like you gave something up?
Oh, yeah. Not at all. I don't feel like I gave anything up. In fact, I'm getting a little bit more out of this because I still have that skill set that I learned being in a kitchen, but now working towards being a manager in a dining room, I can, in a way, I like to say that I can speak both languages. I understand how a dining room operates, but I also understand how a kitchen operates. And in order to make the two work together fluidly, it's kind of up to the manager to be able to work with the head chef and really make everything communicate properly between the two. Because I've worked in places where the front of house manager, the dining room manager didn't have a whole lot of experience when it came to kitchen management. So there was a lot of disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And I have found that some of the best managers I've worked for understand how a kitchen works. So I think that that's one thing that I feel a need for. And I feel like, you know, my experience in kitchens and working in back of house is really only helping me thrive in front of house and dining rooms.
As you're going through this, as you're figuring this out, your desires, your options, so to speak, you're seeing your other classmates and friends doing other things. Did you ever think or get envious of what they were doing and wish you were doing that or going down a different track?
Not really. I know that they're doing something that they love to do, but maybe it's not really something that I would be able to do myself. One of my really good friends, he's working in a restaurant and he works crazy hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I just know that for me, those crazy hours, they're fun sometimes, and it does give you a really good sense of accomplishment. But all the time, for me personally, would be exhausting. And it wouldn't be fun after a certain point.
See, and I think that the fact that you figured this out so early on at such a young age is fantastic. Because oftentimes we see someone else running their race and we think, I wish I was doing that. Regret is a powerful drug and can really hold you back. But it sounds like you kind of figured it out and you're just pursuing it with horse blinders on in a good way, not letting others' race or journey affect you in a negative way. Is it safe to say that?
Right. Like they're going to run their race and I'm going to run mine.
So now that you kind of figured it out, what should we expect upcoming?
Well, at this point, I've graduated from the wines program. I'm moving forward into a career in food and beverage management. I have a long-term goal of eventually being a food and beverage director for large corporations. I've been looking at working in hotels and big restaurant groups, just because I see a lot of potential for growth and also the potential to move to different places. I think it's really important for me in this career, especially, to be able to work in a lot of different environments. And I think that the best way to learn about any other place is to just live there and fully immerse yourself in the people and the language, the culture, and especially the food, and wine, of course. But it's, I want to have the opportunities to live in all these different places, not just in the United States, but around the world as well. London is one of the places that's definitely on my list to live. London, Paris, Spain, even maybe. We'll see where it goes. But I kind of, it's a little bit nerve-wracking to have all these options available, but I kind of just like having the freedom to, you know, be able to take an opportunity. If I get an opportunity to move to, you know, Australia one day, who knows? I think it'd be a really exciting adventure.
What I love is that you're not limiting yourself here. Like, it is scary, admittedly, but you aren't letting that stop you with where you're looking.
No, it would be scary to move that far away from home. I think Australia would take a lot specifically. But I don't want to limit myself because who knows where that will take me. And I feel like that's one thing I would probably regret is if I had a great opportunity like that and I didn't take it. And then, you know, years later, I kind of look back and I'm like, gosh, I wonder what would have happened if I actually did go there. Where would I be now if I actually did do that? I don't ever want to have those kinds of regrets.
Yeah. I mean, again, the fact that you're figuring this out and hold on to that, right? It's easy to do this now and then kind of lose track of that or, you know, fall into a state of regret at some point. But, you know, the fact that you figured it out is actually amazing. But let's, for your first job, right? Because you're still figuring that out, so to speak. Any bucket list things that you're kind of applying to that you're like, it's a shot in the dark. Who knows? If I get it, it's a blessing.
Yeah, well, last summer I got a chance to work for the Four Seasons in Baltimore, which was a fantastic experience. I had a great time. I learned so much, I think, in just 4 months. Because after my semester ended in April, I went home because in order to take all the wines classes that I took in Napa, I had to be 21. So I had to wait a whole semester until I could go out to Napa to take those classes. So I had the opportunity to go home and just work full time for a whole summer, which was great.
Oh, wow.
It was great. And I worked at the Four Seasons. I worked at the pool, but when I worked front of house, I did service at the pool, but when the pool was closed due to all the crazy rain that we got last summer, I would get to go change and put on my chef whites and go help in the dining room or go help in the kitchen. Go help in the kitchen and do some prep work, or I would go put on a service uniform and go help in the dining room. So I got to work in a lot of different areas just in 4 months.
You know, I didn't even think about the fact that you being underage would affect you being a sommelier. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, sommelier, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
turned 21 last September, and luckily it was the second day of classes that I turned 21, so it was perfect timing. But I ended up having to wait. Otherwise, I would have taken those classes this time last year, which is crazy. But it works out for the best because, you know, even if I could have taken these classes and been underage, I couldn't have done anything else in the area. I couldn't have gone to all the wineries and the different distilleries or restaurants that they have out here and really get the full Napa experience, I guess. So it works out for the best that I turned 21 in Napa because I got to go on the weekends and try these different wineries. It was amazing.
So being that I'm not in the industry, curiously, you have your bachelor's. Are there continuing education courses that you can take? Like, how does that work? Or do you just kind of talk to friends and kind of get each other to help each other out? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, there are. I know my school, the Culinary Institute, also offers a certificate wines program for people who didn't do our wines concentration. If they did, you know, their education at a different college, at a different level, we have a certificate program that we offer here as well. But then, you know, I've given a little bit of thought to if I would ever want to do my master's in something like hospitality management, things like that, business management. I haven't honestly given too much thought to it right now. My more pressing priorities would be getting a job and figuring out where to live for the time being. And then maybe in a few years, once I really figure out where I want to focus in this field, I would end up doing some kind of a master's degree, potentially. One of those things that I keep in the radar, but I don't, I'll figure it out when I get to that bridge.
Sure. So I got to ask the question that many guests or many listeners may be having. Given your background, aside from the food and beverage management that you're looking to do, would you ever do one of the reality shows? If Food Network came to you and said, hey, would you do this? What do you think?
That would be an awesome opportunity. And again, with all the other, that's an opportunity I don't think I could pass up. It would be, that would be a really cool thing for me to do if I ended up doing some kind of a show or something like that. I would definitely want it to, I really love being able to focus on wine and service as well. Mm-hmm. So I'd be interested to see how that, my service background ties into a reality show of that sort. But it's funny that you mentioned reality shows because I've been watching this show called Below Deck, which is a little bit different from all the Food Network shows. It's less focused on the food, but it's about a group of people who work on a super yacht, like in the Mediterranean or in the Caribbean. And it is a reality show, so there's still all the drama with the crew members and all that stuff. So it's entertaining, but I also kind of like to watch the show and see all the different scenarios that they have to deal with all these different guests they have on their charters. And they'll get crazy requests sometimes or crazy guests. And of course, it's amped up for the drama of the show. But it's also interesting to think, like, that's a real job. And that's something that I could do someday is work as a service manager on a super yacht. Who knows? But it's funny that you mentioned the shows because that's something I've been watching lately. And I don't want to discount that either. So who knows?
Oh, I never even thought about that. That's true.
Yeah.
You could just...
I hadn't thought about it either until I saw the show come up on Hulu one day. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And then I started watching it. And I'm like, wow, they really get into like fine dining service on this boat.
Well, I mean, yeah. And I, it's funny how focused our mindsets can be, that we're so focused on typical things you see on TV, restaurants, hotels, stadiums, that kind of thing. And then you forget that there are things out there that aren't televised necessarily, like cruise lines that you could be working on.
And it's the best, and it's, working and you're, on the ocean and you get to see the world and you get to see all these different places. That's another one of those opportunities that if I ever was presented with something like that, definitely wouldn't pass it up. I could not pass it up.
Now I'm like,
especially being so young right now. And I mean, I'm single. I'm not really tied to any one place.
The world
too much.
is your oyster.
Of course, Maryland will always be home. Right, exactly. Maryland will always be home for me. And, someday way down the line, maybe I'd love to end up back in the Maryland, D.C. area. But I definitely can't limit myself.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, now that you think about it, I'm like, how do people on there even get a job? Is it like LinkedIn or Indeed, or do you just have to know somebody? I've looked
a little bit on LinkedIn, and there's some yachting companies that do seasonal positions. Right, because there's only a certain amount. There's a certain time of year when they can have all these super yachts out on the ocean. Otherwise, it's hurricane season.
That's true. Valid point.
But it's a seasonal position. So it's these people, they work on their yachts a couple months a year, and then they go home and they have another job there, and then they come back to the yachts, and it's a little bit of back and forth. But a lot of them are single, and they're young and they're looking for that adventure while they still have the mindset to do it.
Sure. I mean, I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. And luckily, I don't get seasick.
You already know that?
Oh, yeah. I don't get seasick. I don't get motion sickness.
I can do it for a car ride if I'm reading will give me motion sickness. Otherwise, I'm okay. But I don't know. I can't remember. I think I've been on a boat at least once or twice and been okay. So I think I could do that.
No, I've always been my dad's roller coaster buddy. So
Yeah, well, no, I can't do roller coasters.
Oh, no, I can do all the loops. It's so much fun.
See? Yeah, nope. That's all right. If I'm ever at a park, I'm like, nope, I'm going to get Sarika to do it. I can't.
Yep, there you go.
Found you a partner.
I'll be the good. I'll be the designated roller coaster.
Be the phone a friend.
Designated roller coaster rider.
That's awesome. So, Sarika, with it being a new year, new beginnings, especially for you, with graduation and all, what are you expecting for 2019 for yourself?
Professionally, I am expecting to have a really great job opportunity and get to learn a lot in the next year about working in front of house and working in big, larger scale operations. And personally, I'm expecting a lot of self-growth. I'm going to be moving to a new place. I might not really know a whole lot of people, but I am really looking forward to becoming even more independent than I have in the past few years, and really just kind of growing as an individual and, advancing my career in this field. I think it's going to be a really, really exciting time I think it's going to be a really exciting time in my life right now.
What's really cool, right, with new beginnings are new challenges, new everything, but you seem to thrive in not uncertainty, but new surroundings. And that's not easy for people to do. So the fact that this is a whole year of new surroundings and new opportunities and new challenges, not everyone could handle that with such a positive mindset as you do. And so I got to ask, is that an innate ability or characteristic of yourself? Or do you have some advice for someone who's kind of facing that in this new year as well? Something new, uncertain, how they should approach it?
It's definitely not the way I've always been. I haven't always been this independent. And I feel like I could even, grow a little bit more in that area. When I moved to Boston in 2016 for my internship, I barely knew anybody in the city. I knew 2 other people who were from my school who were there, but we weren't really close at the time. And so I was living in an apartment by myself in a city I had never lived in before. I got very homesick, and it was a really good learning experience for me. I think that's one of the reasons why I know that, okay, I can move to a new place. I can figure it out. But one thing that I did was my 2 friends who were living in Boston at the time, they are 2 of my greatest friends now. They actually went to my parents' house for Thanksgiving last year while I was in California.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even go home for Thanksgiving. My 2 of my best friends went. That's how comfortable they are with my family, and that's how much we love having them around. They're just 2 amazing people. So shout out to Logan and Bailey, because you guys are awesome. And it's just, I think my advice to somebody kind of embarking on that new adventure would just be surround yourself in something that makes you comfortable, whether it's other people. Don't be afraid to go out to restaurants by yourself. Definitely don't order in all the time, and go explore new things. I mean, go see a movie by yourself, or go, just walk around town, safely, of course, but just go and explore and just get to be a little bit more comfortable with yourself. It took a lot out of me because I'm a very social person in general. It took a lot for me to really just, okay, I'm going to go to a coffee shop and just sit there and read a book and be in a social environment, but not necessarily talk to other people. It was a very eye-opening experience. So it just, it helps to find those creature comforts some other way, learn something new, try cooking something new, or, go somewhere new, or just like, even if it's touristy stuff in that area, you're allowed to be a tourist in your own town. I think it's so much fun. So yeah, I guess that would probably be my advice, is just, get out of your comfort zone and really push yourself, and you'll surprise yourself. If you, just push yourself just a little bit out of that bubble, you'll really surprise yourself with how much you learn about yourself.
You said something that's actually interesting that I didn't even think about. Even if it's your own hometown, feel free to explore it. I never thought about that, but Baltimore I've never really explored Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you been to the aquarium? Or have you been there recently?
I probably not in like 5 years or something.
Yeah, me neither. I want to go just because I'm sure there's something new going on, or, you know, when I was working there this summer, sometimes I would get off work and just kind of walk around a little bit. And it's amazing how much the city has grown. And it's constantly growing. There's new restaurants everywhere. And of course, I keep coming back to the food just because that's my life, basically.
Right.
But there's so much to explore and so much to do. Groupon helps when it comes to finding different activities going on. But yeah, Baltimore, DC, there's always a lot of stuff to do. And I don't really claim DC as my town necessarily, but we take it for granted. I think that we live so close to DC that we just don't go that often. Where I'd love to go down to DC and just spend a weekend there and, go to all the monuments or go walk around the Smithsonian or do something touristy. And it's, right in our backyard. We don't take advantage of it, I think. Specifically my family, we just, it's hard for us to find the time to go down to DC, but I'd love to be able to do that.
You make a good point. I too don't claim DC as my personal hometown. We do acknowledge it because it's our sister state, and, we have the Washington Wizards. It's the closest thing to a basketball team we have. Or
the Caps. Hello.
And the Caps,
Caps.
Right? The closest thing we have to a hockey team, which we're very proud of. Congrats for the Stanley Cup. But we don't really explore it as often as we could. And guys, even your home state, how often have you visited your hometown and seen what is there? That, you make a great point. I wonder if in 2019, I think I need to make a point to check out Baltimore more, especially now that I'm back.
There you go. Or Annapolis. I think I've been to Annapolis maybe twice.
I've explored Annapolis once.
And I want to go back so much.
They have a beautiful downtown that you can walk, but they also have this boat tour that will take you around past the Naval Academy. It's actually really cool. But there's probably so much more I should check out.
Right. We just take it for granted. Annapolis is right there. We'll get there eventually. But we never actually get there.
Yeah. And it's funny because, now that you're in this adult world, congratulations. And I'm sorry at the same time, finding time for that is possible. It's just, we forget that, I think, oftentimes.
Right. I think sometimes, when people come to visit, we find the excuse to go to those places and do the touristy stuff, but we shouldn't need, it's nice to have it.
That's a good point.
But, that shouldn't always be the reason why we go. I'd love to just go down to DC, try a couple new restaurants and, just spend a night down there, and that'd be awesome.
You make a valid point about, I confess, a lot of the times I check out DC or the harbor is when I have guests. And not that I am mad at that, guys. That's a good time.
Right.
But I shouldn't need to use that as the reason to go downtown.
Right. You should be able to just, I'm just going to go downtown for dinner and walk around the harbor and then, just see what's up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there are things to do. Well, Sarika, let me ask you one more question before I let you go. Before the final question, which you're familiar with, but it'll come back and now in this, I'm more experienced and educated and answers may have changed kind of thing. But before that, right? Outside of your culinary experience and adult education, is there a hobby or something you want to try? Because you can now. Before it was all school and everything. Now what?
It's a whole new world. I don't have to write essays and take midterms and do crazy flashcards anymore.
World is your oyster.
Oh my gosh. Hobbies. No, I think I would. One thing that I've always enjoyed doing is reading. I don't have enough time to read, for one. I think and I know it's still something culinary related, but I think I'd like to challenge myself to one new recipe a week, one new dish, and just learn it one a week. I think that'd be kind of a fun challenge for me, especially, living by myself, working full time. I need to find the time to do that for myself. And I think that'd be a good New Year's resolution. One recipe a week. Maybe I'll document it too. Who knows?
Ooh, I was going to say, if you need volunteers and you're back in the tri-state area, I am down.
Right. Awesome.
I am willing to make any kind of a sacrifice to be your victim. I mean, host, guest,
tester, right?
Tester, yes.
Awesome.
Pretty sure it wouldn't be victim, but I would be happy to do that.
And come up with new wine pairings and stuff like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I think so. I
know it still centers around what I do for a job, but it makes it fun. It makes it,
Again, you're doing something you're so passionate about, you would do it for free.
Oh, absolutely.
See, and that's so
Not
key.
always. Not always. I still got to pay the bills.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. True. But you found something that you're so passionate. I mean, that's, I think, something that a lot of people, and if you're doing this, guys, in 2019, feel free to take a step back and evaluate because, and Damon John said this, I think it was Damon John, the Shark Tank guy. He said, find something you're so passionate about that you would do for free and do that. And you have kind of found that for yourself. Cooking, food, that world is your passion. So the fact that
it's just fun,
right?
I get such a kick out of it sometimes. Like back in August, my parents and we had some family friends over, and I did a wine and cheese tasting, and then we had I made a mushroom risotto for dinner. But we opened like 7 bottles of wine, and we had 8 or 9 different kinds of cheese, and it was so cool to and a lot of my parents' friends are doctors or lawyers or engineers, and it was very cool to see people from that kind of a background just experiment with different wines and cheeses. Like, I do that in class, and I do that for fun, but it was very cool to teach them about it and see those reactions of, ooh, those two do not go together, or, ooh, I didn't think port wine and blue cheese would go together, but they really do. It was a cool experience. It was a lot of fun. And that is something I would do again and again and again, just because it's, I get to share a little part of what I do with the people who have made me the person that I am. So it's just really special for me.
And that's a win-win. And guys, we want that for you. We want you to kind of have that same feeling and experience. So in this new year, in this new time, try to make it a point to figure that out,
Yeah.
So to do that, Sarika, how can we help them? What is one thing you would recommend someone do this year to take action to chase their dreams?
God, don't be scared. Don't be nervous. If it means moving somewhere new, or if it means, maybe leaving a job that you didn't love to go pursue something that you do, but it's not a sure thing yet, just throw yourself into it. And if you have the passion and you have the drive for it, you will make it happen. It will all fall into place. Everything will work out the way that it's supposed to. You just have to trust that you love what you're going to be doing and you go for it. Sometimes it's going to take throwing caution to the wind and taking a risk. And there's always that fear underneath of it not working out, but you have to push that aside. Don't be afraid of it. Because if you're afraid of failing, you will. You have to not be afraid to fail, and you will make it happen for yourself.
And that's all we got to say about that. Sarika, thank you so much for coming on the show. That was some great advice.
Thank you.
And it's great and awesome to see how well you're doing. Congratulations on your dream chase.
Thank you so much.
And guys, that was Sarika Mehta. She is living life. She is doing an amazing job of chasing her dreams. And, as of that recording, we recorded prior to the new year, she has actually gotten a placement. And so she is I can happily share that she is now a food and beverage manager in training with the Four Seasons Hotel in Denver. And guys, I'm so stoked for her. She's loving it. We'll check in with her as time allows down the road, but You know, she's chasing her dream and she's doing it right. So hopefully you guys can be inspired by her and what she's doing. And you, too, can chase your dream in 2019 to the max. All right? So, guys, you can learn more about Sarika and everything she's doing over on the show notes page at amyj21.com/episode 173. That's episode 173. Until next time, guys, keep chasing.
Thank you so much for listening to Chasing Dreams. Amy would love to connect with you and hear all about your pursuit of chasing your dreams. Connect with her on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram via @ChasingDreamsHQ. Or you can find Amy on Twitter @AmyJ21. That's AIMEEJ21. Be sure to visit headquarters over at ChasingDreamsHQ.com for more inspiration, motivation, and resources to help with your own dream chase. We hope you'll join Amy next week, and until then, keep chasing.